then, deadline day happened. It's been and gone. Can't wait for the next one.
What do you think about the
signings?
Well, just we are very much in a post golden age transfer window environment now, aren't we?
Well, we have been for a while.
And it's not. It doesn't hit the same, does it now?
You've still a little bit of a buzz, though.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Not as like a buzz it was like 15 years ago.
Where's Ben Chilwell off to? It's exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting.
Marcus is excited by that. That's backfired for you because you're taking the piss, but Marcus actually is excited by that.
He's actually gone on loan to Crystal Palace?
Yeah.
No, I think there's always a little bit of titillation on,
do you remember when
on deadline day.
Sky Sports would send people outside of every single club?
Of course.
They'd get abused. It was good telly.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, we're now in a position where we've got, what's his name? Gary Cotterill. Not David Cotterill. He's that mad conspiracy theorist that used to play for Pompey. Gary Cotterill doing, the Miles Lewis.
Yeah, I know, but don't we say this every year? Oh, it's not quite the same.
Well, but that's our position. We got to tell people this.
But people don't need to be told; they can feel it.
But we're not responsible for judging up the product for crying out loud. But I would say that it's probably due to the fact that people buy prospects rather than cold, hard 200 million strikers anymore.
Exactly, and I think
that's what we want.
And I think the deadline day has played a part in this because when it all went crazy and transfer fees went up so much, you can't to buy the finished article. Yeah. It's very, very difficult nowadays because of all those monies. But I think, though, Luke, when you say that it was good TV and so on, I mean, yes, it was, but it was of its time. I don't think it was sustainable. So I think we remember the memories. We've got the VHSs.
Yeah.
We just carry on, and I think this is better for everybody.
But it's my role, at the age I am now and the stage of life I am, to tell everyone listening here that's younger than me that things used to be better.
That's true.
Correct.
That's true. And some of the stuff he just said didn't make the edit there, everybody.
I'll do it again then.
Don't tell him in the show, the editing and all that stuff out.
Gentlemen, you are saying that, it's not as big spending as it was.
Well, Pete said that. I didn't say that.
Okay, fine.
Pete said that.
Right, okay.
I would not like to be associated with anything Pete said.
Right. Oh. The stupid guy over there.
Just because they don't edit any of my stuff out.
Nah.
Because it's full of non sequiturs and quite confusing for people to sort of get involved with.
You need to get your own editor, mate.
You'd have to be Thelma Schumacher herself to edit your stuff.
To edit anything I say out of a podcast, it's like attacking a bush with some secateurs. You need a unruly bush. Manscape me.
Well, I will give it a go. Manchester City, though, they did drop 180 million boys.
Yeah.
In the transfer window.
It was a proper stolen credit card spree kind of from Man City, wasn't it? Before it gets cancelled, I've got to use all of the contactless options in my town.
That was a large part of the reason that it was the third biggest, most active winter transfer window, I think, of the last 10 years.
There you go, you see.
So they're the rising tide.
They are. I mean, Nico Gonzalez, 50 million boys. Yeah. Let's stick with boys.
Stay with boys. The first person to ever use the word boys for currency, I think Danny Dyer.
Right,
okay.
I think it was Danny Dyer I first heard say that.
Well,
so I'm pleased that you've taken the boys' mantle.
You brought it, and I'm running with it.
Right along,
Indeed, yeah. So, I mean, an enormous amount of money. I mean, it's the second biggest spend from one club in the January window behind Chelsea's 274 million in 2023.
Yeah.
You see, you bemoan that the days are not as golden as they used to be, but look at that.
What I mean is, I don't mean that players aren't
boring,
moving.
isn't it? All this rubbish.
No, I just think that Sky Sports aren't doing what they used to do. Do you remember the photo of Jim White with a tie draped over the sofa? Like, I'm not saying it needs to be that still. I'm just saying if you're going to tell us it's the best product ever, you need to do your bit.
You want to see a sex toy in someone's ear?
100%.
Just get to it, Luke.
I can see it on other channels, but
as the webmaster of earfuckers.com, bang into it.
Actually, Elon Musk bought that off me.
That's a good point, actually. Are all of these Manchester City footballers going to be converted to right backs?
Yes, every single one.
Because he hates Rico Lewis. Is this what's going to happen?
I perish the thought.
I don't find it particularly interesting that City have spent the most money compared to other teams, because most other teams haven't really done much. What I do find interesting, Marcus, is that Man City have spent the most money they've spent compared to other winners in a while, and it feels like, and I may be projecting this onto them, but given the time they're having this season, it feels a bit more like far less controlled.
Yes.
Like, remember the golden years of Sir Alex Ferguson, where he would buy from a position of strength. You know, he would really break the heart of other teams by going, I'm going to go and get
Van
Jaap
Persie.
Stam, or Van Persie's a great example.
Berbatov.
Right? But from the basically you're not strengthening from a position where you're desperate for it.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get overcharged. You're not going to have to be frantically searching around.
And the players definitely want to go there.
And absolutely. And City under Guardiola have also been like that until now. And now it feels like they're scrapping around going, we need bodies.
Yeah,
and we're overpaying for players because we're desperate for them.
And let me state my position. Of course, they still want to go there. I mean, Gonzalez said that, this moment in my career. So that my little point doesn't stand, but yours do, Luke. And I think that's a very interesting way to say it. And like I say, you're right. It is a little bit not scattergun, because you can't say that with
certainly more prospect sized than finished players. Like Mamouche obviously very good, but the rest are kind of like the ones for the future. They don't need future players right now, do they?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, this is interesting, because I was, I've been banging on for ages saying that they'll need a rebuild. Probably should have done one last summer, actually, and I'm not sure that I don't think Guardiola's the man to do it, because I think his time there is, as I've mentioned. I
love your. You just I don't know what this Pep Guardiola kind of heel turn on him is.
Have you seen his team? Have you watched any of his team play in the last 3 months?
Yeah. I don't know, but it just seems particularly vociferous from Marcus. That's all.
No, because I think that the media have got it all wrong. When he came to this country, the knives were out, and we were looking at him going, what are you talking about? The guy's a genius. He's obviously going to do it.
Marcus, you're absolutely spot on.
Thank you. Get your knives out now, lads.
The way he was covered when he came here is the mirror image. There's a mirror reflection of the way he's being covered now. It took the press way too long to respect
to get
him,
on board, right?
And it's taken them way too long to understand what's happening now. You're totally right. And I think, just to go back to the previous point I was making about why they're getting players in, listen to Andy, the maestro himself, talk about how good Nico Gonzalez looks and how good he could be. He's played over 150 senior games. He's pretty ready to move to the Premier League. It's the next step for him. But the takeaway is that they've massively overpaid for him because they want him now.
Yeah,
they feel like they need him now, and that doesn't make it a panicked signing. It just means that. And we know that we really need someone.
And also right at the end of the window.
And it's right at the end of the window. So it's just a really interesting situation, because it could just be the death knell of what you're talking about. Right, last roll of dice, what we're going to do, try and rescue.
They can't register all the players for the Champions League either. They've got to leave one out, which is funny. You bought too many players, lads.
Oh dear. I just find it intriguing that they've basically thought, as you say, right, we need something. And compare this to Liverpool, right? When Klopp left, you could see Guardiola in the interviews. Now, I know trying to get inside that man's head is rather silly and a foolish thing to try and do. But some of the quotes and the noises he was making, and the fact that we know that he seriously considered taking the England job, that must have got him thinking, to see his sparring partner go, do you know what, actually I'm done now.
Yeah.
In possibly forever, but certainly in the Premier League, you could extrapolate it out to that. But the rebuild was already happening under Klopp. And I think possibly that goes into Klopp's thinking. One might say, could be fanciful thinking that, but it wouldn't surprise you. The way Klopp left as well, he didn't want to make a song and dance of it. He approached his final game in charge of Liverpool as any other, he said. Yeah. You saw him in the dressing room, it was the same, the cameras and all, and he just showed
also,
you.
Also, there was no real speculation. Like he led on it, he did the statement, and then everyone moved on.
And they did it. And they finished with a decent season, one trophy, and a very respectable showing in the league. The rebuilds there, Slot comes in, and boom. Now, obviously, there's a lot of moving parts that have to go in the right direction, but they have. Compare that to Guardiola and City, and I know he's been more successful than Klopp, so I understand all those details. But now you see Guardiola, I do think there's a little bit of panic in this, and it's like, right, how can we to try and do a sort of half-baked rebuild in January? If you've got the money and you've got the will and so on, then okay, why not give it a go? But compare and contrast those two.
But it depends what you think. It depends what you consider to be a half-baked rebuild or not. Because what we're probably seeing here is players that they wanted, that they're having to get earlier, and they're having to overpay for.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that, from their point of view, notwithstanding the charges hanging over their heads, they don't care about that. But they've been forced into doing it because I suppose their calculation is, we need top four. We need to be in the Champions League. Because they're 15 points off the title. They don't win the title now, but they need to solidify a top four position. So they need players that can help them do that. But I would say, just building on what you've said earlier, realistically, given their inability to play with any intensity and how sloppy they are, and how they're unable to respond to setbacks at the moment, it doesn't really matter who comes in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it feels like when I saw them in the flesh at Arsenal at the weekend, I wasn't there going, oh, if only they had like a really good holding midfield player to replace Rodri.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously that helps, but that's not the problem, as you keep saying.
Yeah.
Like the problem is you've got such a lack of intensity. You've got players like Phil Foden, who's probably the best English player I've ever seen in tight spaces, just giving the ball away.
Yeah.
And
like a shadow.
Yeah, and how can you expect a 22-year-old to come in who's no experience of the Premier League in January? If it works, my goodness, I just don't think it will.
Do you think that if these sanctions happen, and I don't know, if Man
next
City
month
get relegated
apparently,
next month,
yeah.
Pep Guardiola leaves the club scot-free basically. But if it's proved that he knew that what was happening was incorrect, do you think he should be sanctioned? So he has to take charge of a second division club.
Are you trying to get
wherever
me in
he goes?
if I answer this question?
and he gets the Carlisle job just ahead of Steven Gerrard.
Exactly.
Do you think they're guilty in one word? Oh, dearie me. Well, they've been spending though. Man City. We'll see how they get on. Manchester United signed Patrick Dorgu from Lecce on the second last day of the winter. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
If you want to plan properly, don't leave it to the last day. Learn from them.
Yeah, spare 24 hours.
Indeed. I had a little look at what type of player he is and so on. I just thought, he can play wing back. He's in. Yeah. He's in. Get him in. They need Ahmad further forward. Get him. He's got to be the one in front of goal.
Yeah.
And,
I hope they didn't get Ruben Amorim to try and convince him. Call him up. So would you like to come to play for the worst team I've ever seen?
Sorry, second worst team, it says here.
By the way, we're not paying you very much.
Yeah. You're going to be unencumbered by the money. So
poor old Patrick Dorgu, who's having a great... I mean, I don't know him, but presumably a move to Man United is quite a big thing for a young player, wherever they're from. He's Danish, isn't he? He comes from Serie A, from Lecce. It's probably quite a big deal for him to move to Man United. The biggest headline I saw was that he's going to be one of the lowest paid players. Cheers.
I've been nickel and dimed and 69, baby. Do you not think that like Ratcliffe has released that just to sort of go, right, silly season's over, we don't overpay players anymore? It's probably quite a useful thing for him to do.
But he can't. But the thing if he is doing that, he's also between a rock and a hard place because he's got a situation where he doesn't want the football community to think they're going to be taken for a ride.
Yeah.
But his entire fan base want him to spend money.
Yes.
So if you're a fan and you're reading that, you're going, well, that's a fucking terrible way to start a career.
Well, because that blueprint is literally going, it's the Spursification of Manchester United, really, isn't it? We're not going to overpay for players. We're going to buy prospects and stuff. So, and Spurs are doing terribly at the moment. So what can you do?
Also, the thing that really, for those of you who haven't seen this story, it was reported in the press that Patrick Dorgu will be one of United's lowest paid players.
Tom Heaton's getting more than him, and I back that.
But I felt sad for you. Leave Tom Heaton out of this.
Yeah, that is.
He's had a great career.
Disrespectful.
Yeah, why is he catching strays?
He's earned his money. Like in most jobs.
Yeah.
Maybe not in football. Based on your experience, you get paid more.
Yeah.
But they are.
Yeah, he was great in the House Martins.
The third choice, or whatever he is, choice goalkeeper, has earned his stripes.
Tom Heaton can put his feet up and say, I've had a career.
Do you think that I've had a career? Dorgu, though, he will be earning more than he earned at Lecce. Lecce, what are they, like 14th or 15th, something like that in Serie A? So like for like move. I implore anybody to just pause and Google image Lecce. I mean, do you think he's going to miss this place? Do you think that he may miss the surroundings of Lecce?
Lordy.
Because I didn't know anything about that city.
Do you know who was born there?
Pete Donaldson?
Antonio Conte was born there.
Oh.
There you are.
It's in the heel of Italy, isn't it?
It's down south, honestly, Google image it, you'll think, any direct flights there? It looks bloody beautiful.
Why was Conte so angry?
Yeah. But to be fair to Patrick,
because he left.
he is Danish, so he's used to the cold and a little bit of rain, I expect.
Yeah, but you adapt to your surroundings.
He's had a taste of the biscuit.
If you're a fan of nice weather, beautiful architecture, etc., etc., Manchester's the place for you, baby. A proud history. Don't disrespect the city. Now,
that's out of order by you, Pete.
I'll disrespect all the cities.
Right, could we call Manchester the third city? Because Birmingham is obviously the second city.
Yeah.
So that's where
the Birmingham's lucky to stay in there.
We're going on tour. We're quite simply going on tour.
I lived in Leicester. I was in Birmingham all the time. It's never finished.
All of those cities. The best.
I genuinely like Manchester.
The best city in England or Scotland is the one we're playing that night.
That's obviously, yeah.
I've done my time in Birmingham. I've spent a lot of time there, and they need to finish it.
It's changed you.
They need to. It's changed.
It's changed you.
They need to finish
They
it.
need to finish it.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot of good stuff happening in Birmingham, especially on the
How do we
night
get
we
onto
play.
this? How do we get onto
Well,
this?
because I want to talk about Aston Villa.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, which is a fine football club in a fine city. Aston Villa completed their business by signing Marco Asensio from PSG. Do you know what, right? Just very briefly. Manchester City, I do respect them, though. They've bloody well bought them. None of this loan nonsense.
Yeah,
Go out and get them.
Yeah.
Hey,
What's the
whereas,
point?
although it would be ridiculous.
The ship is sinking. Who cares?
It would be reckless if Villa actually went out and signed these people rather than on loan. But they've got him in. So you've got Rashford on loan, Asensio on loan, and Axel Disasi from Chelsea as well.
Which you mentioned on Monday.
We mentioned that on
I think the Disasi one's an interesting one. But I would be interested to know from you, Marcus, whether it's nice for them to have a Marco in there, because Marco Asensio is a high-profile name. He's, as you were saying to me the other day, he's kind of won the lot. Mm-hmm. Do you think he's suited to the Premier League, though?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It could be the case of that. Yeah, if there's a bit of cut and thrust, which there will be in the Premier League coming in January, is he going to go after a while? Do you know what? Actually, having won everything, do I really need this challenge? Do I really have the stones or the botheredness for this?
Yeah.
And I know that people might say, well, of course he does. He's won a lot and so on. But he's a human being. He might just think, actually, do I fancy this kind of thing? However, you could flip it on the other way and say he's won everything, blah, 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 and needs a new challenge. At PSG, he's clearly not as happy as he might be. So I think this is the perfect kind of testing ground for him. He's not cup tied in the Champions League because of law changes and so on. So he's joining a club who need a bit of a bit of energy in there and a bit of something. But it is a gamble, though. I don't think it's as big a gamble, say, with Rashford. But Rashford has said he wants a new challenge, so we're all very intrigued how to see that will go. Disasi, I think, will be there. I know he's got a little bit of a rick in him once in a while, but Villa need bodies and they need somebody. I
think Disasi's issues, which have been overblown in my view, are kind of almost directly related to the way Chelsea are doing things. Yeah, like, so if you look at him, he's like he's kind of like in this weird. But he was in this weird position where he was like captain of their Conference League team, and didn't play an awful lot in the Premier League, and probably suffered from a load of these other bodies coming in. I suspect, based on what I've seen from him, just watching him, like the eye test, I suspect there might be a really good player in there. So that's an interesting side. But
I wasn't sure, but I think, it's funny.
Well, Vish isn't here, is he?
No.
He's scared.
So, say what you want.
Just to come back to you on Marco Asensio, though, like, it's a really interesting situation. The reason I asked that question is because if you're an Aston Villa fan, however many years ago you were in the Championship and you're fighting for your lives under Gerrard, and it's got a bit toxic. I remember you saying when you watched them at Fulham under Gerrard, it was the
abuse. It
was bad. And now we're talking about a player who's 29. He's played almost 300 games for Real Madrid and is coming to Aston Villa to play.
It's not
You'd
too
probably
shabby.
be pretty grateful for that, right?
Yeah.
And you'd be pretty happy. I just wonder if the way he plays, excuse me, I lost my voice.
Very emotional.
Wow. Is it going to be good enough for my Villa?
That happened to me once a couple of Christmases ago when we did a special when I was with Jules and I was talking about Gunwharf Keys in Portsmouth. And she genuinely thought I was getting very, very sentimental about it.
Some of the deals.
I just wonder whether the way he plays is suited. It could be brilliant, and it's a really exciting addition to the Premier League. It's the kind of player where you think, it'd be great to see him in the Premier League because of the name and because of what he's achieved. And we have to be mindful of the idea that he's won 3 Champions Leagues, right? That's incredible. And he's not cup tied, as you say. But I wonder, I just think there's a little question mark over it, that's all.
No, I get that. Wherever he's gone, which is Real Madrid and PSG, we're looking at, they've been top of the tree, haven't they? The age of 29. He's fancied a new challenge, a new profile of club. It's a long time ago since he played for Real Mallorca and Espanyol. So,
big ask for a new league, though, isn't it?
It is, but on the other hand, you're getting a player who's a proven winner and experience. So, you're right. Villa fans have a right to feel excited by seeing Marco Asensio. Now, gentlemen, I want to go somewhere rather different. We don't often talk about Iran on this podcast for obvious reasons. However, former Rangers winger Ryan Kent looks like he may be off to Iran. This is to play football, I hasten to add. Persepolis, managed by Ismail Kartal, used to manage Kent at Fenerbahce. And it turns out Kent is out of contract and he's looking for a new club because he left Rangers to go and play in Turkey. And he thinks, do you know what? That's not far enough east for me. I'm going to go further. So, yeah, it does seem odd. But talking of new challenges and so on, that does seem rather interesting. However, there's another thing that is rather interesting in this story. Iran seems to have different laws, shall we, on owning exotic pets. That could have swung it in, for Ryan Kent, because apparently he's owned crocodiles, snakes, all the rest of it. And he thinks to himself, I just want to go somewhere where me and my mad, crazy animals that could eat me want to live in harmony.
It's a lot of Pete Donaldson energy about this story, isn't there?
I did look into visiting Tehran, but you need like a little man to follow you around, which is annoying.
Yeah. Can I do that?
Can't find the indie clubs yourself.
Can you? There's really indie clubs in Tehran, mate.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the fact that it is quite astonishing to Marcus, to me, and to a lot of assembled people listening that you don't currently have an exotic pet.
No, yeah, I do. It's a little bit, owning a sword kind of, a samurai sword kind of vibe for me.
How many of them do you own?
I do own one. It was a gift, but it's a bit like wearing like a
to yourself on your 40th birthday.
Wearing a kimono,
which I've also seen you do.
Yeah, driving a motorbike, kind of.
You got a scooter?
Yeah,
seriously, like what is going on here?
We haven't even started on the Mustang.
No, we haven't.
got a lot of snails.
All right,
are they exotic?
Let's meet him halfway. Get yourself a piranha.
One piranha. Get a tank for it though.
Yeah, they love driving around in them.
I actually think, without putting a downer on this, is it not kind of almost undeniably cruel to be having these kind of pets?
No, that's not for us to...
It is in the most arid place on earth. Yeah.
I would also...
Oh, brilliant.
It's probably not the cruelest thing about Iran.
No.
But keeping exotic pets is... To me, I just don't like
the weather is more conducive, though.
I don't like the energy of it.
Yeah.
I don't like the... I just think it's just a bit...
They need moisture, and it's very dry there.
We all need moisture, though.
We all need moisture, that is true.
But the quote from the story is, we should not overlook this. The fact that it is legal to keep crocodiles at home in Iran, he's checked that, was a fact. It was the fact that convinced Ryan Kent.
Think of your bottom line, though. Like, that's going to cost a lot of money to export and import your animals. Mm-hmm. Like, unless you've got...
Get it in your contract, get the club to do it.
Like, those flights that you get, like, through Dubai where a really rich person will just have, like, a lot of eagles in the business class seats.
That's it.
With little hats on.
Just fill the plane with water and the crocs floating about.
Lovely.
Sit in the cockpit for crying out loud. Lock yourself in there.
That's where you keep the cocks.
Yeah, well, there you are, you see. There you are. Anyway, speaking of Pete Donaldson energy and needing to moisturise, today it's Cristiano Ronaldo's 40th birthday.
Oh, many happy fucking returns.
Why are we not leading the show with this?
He'll be annoyed, won't he?
He would have turned off by now.
No, absolutely right. Yeah,
like 20 minutes in and I've not even been mentioned.
The man is 40 and he's still the best player on the planet, according to him. He recently spoke to El Chiringuito, obviously, in Spain. And in the interview, he hit out against some of his former coaches. He said, I learned from all of my coaches. I had some really bad ones, though. Some who didn't have a fucking clue about football.
Name them, you coward.
Yeah, name them. And also, you still learn from them.
Yeah.
So it couldn't have been that useless.
Well, we all learn from people that we hate, don't we?
True, yeah. You can always learn from history, good or bad.
Different lessons.
Yeah, indeed. He also had this to say on the greatest of all time debate. He said, I'm the best player ever. I believe that. Right? How surprising. I'm fast, I'm strong, I score with my head, with the left. No one has ever been more complete than me. And when he says the head, he's having a dig at Messi.
Yeah. He scored a head in a Champions League final.
Against Cristiano Ronaldo's Manchester United. You may prefer Pele, Messi, Maradona. And I understand and respect that. Sounds like you don't. If I finish on 920, 925 goals, it doesn't matter to me at all. I'm the best in history, period. If I reach 1,000 goals, great. If not, that's fine too. Numbers don't lie. So are the numbers important or not, Cristiano?
Yeah. But he's kind of within his rights to talk like that, isn't he? I think it's not a huge surprise.
Ill-advised.
It's not a huge surprise that he believes that, is it?
So let's not make any more comment. It's his 40th birthday. Let him have it.
No, I'm bigging him up for one day only. It's a moratorium.
He's a very sort of like Trumpy. He's a bit musky. He's a bit like
very musky.
Just
I bet he smells nice though. Speaking of musky,
I bet.
You're bathing in Cologne.
But to put something out there, the chat. We talked about this in a different way with Romario a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
about the amount of goals they scored. The Pele and the Romario goal tally,
Yes.
is controversial, right? It's legitimate, I think, at this point that Ronaldo is going to go on to score 1,000 competitive goals confirmed. That is amazing.
Yeah. So let
he's
us...
already done, like he said, like 925 odd goals or whatever it is.
Right. So just to compare him to Romario briefly, Ronaldo didn't have the bottle to chin Diego Simeone, though, did he? Like Romario did.
For the record, Cristiano Ronaldo's 40th birthday or not, I prefer Romario.
Do you remember when Romario did that?
Yeah.
Do you remember what he said in the press when he was interviewed after? He basically went, well, he's Argentinian. We know all about him, don't we? In other words, because he's Argentinian, he deserves it. Yeah, they're like that.
It's the whole of South America think that about Argentina, though,
maybe,
right?
maybe, I don't know. But with my point though with Ronaldo is, of course he's one of the greatest of all time. The numbers don't lie, and the numbers are important when having this debate, I think. But let us just absorb that. Don't tell us that. Do you know what I mean?
But I understand why we're mentioning it, and I understand it's his 40th birthday.
Anyway, why am I still saying this? He's not going to suddenly change it.
But this isn't news, him saying this. Like, him confirming everything we already know about him isn't news.
Yeah. But I'm glad look, 40th birthday. Anyway, before we go for a break, I want to quickly tell you about On the Continent's latest YouTube video. Andy and Lars recently went to Istanbul for the ultimate European football adventure. They spent a week watching Galatasaray, Besiktas and Fenerbahce. Come on.
That's too much.
That's proper, that.
That's too much.
They got into fist fights in all three, but none of it was captured. They even spoke to the new Besiktas manager, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Lovely.
Come on.
Lovely stuff.
Come on.
Lovely.
You can see how they got on over on the On the Continent YouTube channel. Search On the Continent on YouTube and make sure to hit subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest European football content. But come on, can you think of anything more marvellous than that? Andy and Lars strolling around Istanbul and getting Ole Gunnar Solskjaer involved as well.
Going to watch
Beautiful.
one Turkish team is not enough, 2 is too many, and 3 is not enough.
Absolutely right. Coming up after this, Consult Bay save Arsenal season.
Good morning, Twitter. Yes, this is me. Yes, this is my official account. I'm going to be getting my blue tick at some point this week.
John Terry there.
That's great. What's great about that video is that video could have been made at any point in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Couldn't it?
I'm going to get my blue tick.
That's right.
Did it last week.
Yeah.
Do it. Now, on Monday, Vish and I recorded Ramble Reacts following John Terry's old team, Chelsea's 2-1 win over West Ham. On that episode, Vish wondered whether Chelsea are becoming too reliant on Cole Palmer. And he also told me that he was jealous of Joao Felix's shirt collection. You can listen to that episode below this one in your podcast app. One thing we didn't see, gentlemen, before we recorded Ramble Reacts was Enzo Fernandez giving his shorts to a Chelsea fan. And then
Why is he taking off his shorts?
And then what did that Chelsea fan do, Peter?
A little sniff. A little sniff.
Big, deep sniff.
Big
as well. What do you reckon his motivation for sniffing them was?
Poo. He wanted to see
I think was he giving it a kiss, maybe? Going,
No, he's sniffing it. You can see him sniffing it.
Come on.
Don't justify it.
I'm not going to justify it.
Just sniff them when you get home.
Just-
Don't know why you're sniffing them right now.
It's like the toothbrush man. Do it at home.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that bloody club?
I like that he's branching out from the shirt and doing the shorts.
Yeah.
And I like that he's giving them.
Yeah.
And what was funny is when Jamie Carragher saw him sniffing the shorts, he just went, "Whoa, what's he doing?" So it was interesting. I don't understand.
There's no doubt what he's done is disgusting.
But if you had a pair of shorts of, say, Les Ferdinand shorts, right?
Okay.
And he gave them to you when it's a boy in the
Capacious.
90s.
Yeah.
Are you washing them or are you keeping them as they are? Does it lose some of the magic?
You'd want
That's
it
a good
behind
point.
glass if it's kind of. Do you really sweat into shorts? It's more like a soil, not soiling, but soil that
What do you
gets
mean?
on them. Soil gets on them.
Still sweating?
mud.
You're telling me,
Use
listen,
the word mud.
Pete, when you're doing
not
45
against
minutes
the
round the
skin.
line and 45 minutes in goal for your team, are
Right.
you not sweating around the groin
I'm
area?
fairly certain Les Ferdinand went full cycling shorts underneath his shorts.
I
I don't
understand.
think they're as sweaty as a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand the point you're making and whether you would wash them or not. I think I probably would wash them.
Right. Okay. Well, you've lost some of the magic there.
That's
You
what I'm
can't-
saying.
you won't be
Yeah.
able to clone Les Ferdinand.
I won't, and I never plan to.
There's a lot of reasons why you can't do that.
I'm
Yeah.
very happy with
Good
the
point.
with the only Les Ferdinand we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Just
true.
cherish him while we've got him.
Protect
Oi,
him.
Let's not dilute the economy of Les Ferdinand there by creating loads of Les Ferdinand. His value will drop.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
basic economics.
I don't want a quantitative easing of Les Ferdinand.
All in one
Oi,
helicopter.
have you thought about doing a Les Ferdinand coin?
Oh, shit coin for Les Ferdinand.
There you go.
Just do it. Just do it for like players you liked in the 90s. Stuart Ripley coin. Brilliant. Upset everyone.
Well, Pete Donaldson, tonight, Les Ferdinand.
I
was drunk on thinking about Les Ferdinand. His old team, Newcastle United, host Arsenal in the Carabao Cup. Now, Mikel Arteta has spoken about Arsenal's lack of activity in the transfer window. He said, after that 5-1 win, who do we need, boys? No, he didn't say that. He said, we had a clear intention, which is always to explore the opportunities to improve our squad with players that can impact it. We haven't achieved it, so we are disappointed in that sense. But as well, we are very aware that we only want to bring in certain kinds of players, and we have to be very disciplined with that as well. I think we were. So,
very disciplined.
Translate that, please.
How many beers did you have last night? I was very disciplined. And many. It's the most discipline you can imagine.
He's been quite prickly about.
I wanted to get drunk, but I didn't, and so that shows I was disciplined. So up yours,
Pete. Before you make that point, let me just interject.
Here we go.
Have a little think and name me just one thing. Mikel Arteta isn't prickly about.
Ooh. Yeah, he's quite an intense individual, I suppose, isn't he? So yeah,
pennies dropped. The Les Ferdinand shit coins dropped. He's but it does speak to a kind of fundamental truth about clubs in the position Arsenal are in, which is that they're a good team. Yeah. They're doing well. They just need, as I said on Monday, just need to stay stable and really give themselves a good platform for next season, because a lot of unwanted activity present at other clubs, I think. And they should only really go and find someone if it's going to improve them. It's the irony of being, if you're good and you're top of the tree, the amount of players you can feasibly get that are going to improve you is smaller. Yeah. And if they're not available and you can't get them, you shouldn't just do it for the sake of it.
But do you not think they didn't need like a ridiculously talented finished article? They just needed up top someone to take the pressure off Kai a little bit. Just an 8-goal a season sort of forward player who just would come in where, against lesser opposition at start or just replace him after 60 minutes or something.
I understand that.
Like, you can tell he's a confidence player, but I think moments on the pitch doesn't always give you more goals from that.
But if you get a striker who's not top notch to go into an environment at Arsenal, I think would be quite a big ask, and you're wanting them to adapt very, very quickly to a situation where maybe they're not used to. I mean, they did bid for Ollie Watkins, which I think everyone thought was quite an odd bid. And who knows, maybe that bid is they're thinking about the summer. They think, we know we're not going to get him now. They're going to reject this. If they say yes, well, bloody lovely old job. But it just puts that seed in Watkins' head that we want him and he may well want to join it. I don't know.
You can have Callum Wilson. A quid. Give us a quid.
Yeah, a quid.
Give us a quid and you can have Callum Wilson.
No, come on. Give us a shit coin.
Give us a shit coin. give us a Stuart Ripley shit coin and you can have Callum Wilson.
Indeed, yeah. Well,
he is not injured for some time.
Yeah, Arsenal need to overturn that 2-goal deficit if they want to reach the final. If they want to do it.
Yeah. Well, it's a great game for the neutrals tonight, because if you're either going to see a big turnaround, which will be dramatic, or you're going to see Newcastle in another final, which, I mean, you'd have to have a very hard heart indeed, or be quite simply from Sunderland.
Or my accountant.
Yeah, or be Pete's accountant.
Or still disgusted at the ownership.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But I don't think that's something you can level at the fans themselves. The fans have Newcastle United is an absolutely gigantic club, and they're quite an interesting phenomenon because they remain that big. Yes. You and Andy the other day were talking about how they're trying to improve the size of St James's Park, get a new stadium. It's sold out, sold out every single game. Yet they haven't won anything for an astonishing amount of time.
That's right.
And those fans, I'll put to one side the ones that openly welcomed the Saudi regime in.
No, I didn't mind that. I like a bit of fancy dress.
You were one of them. You were straight up on the train, weren't you? Straight on the rattler up to Newcastle.
Yeah, damn it all, I hope they win this competition for those guys.
But the rest of the fans, I mean, it'd be incredible seeing them in another final.
It would be, and I think you're right. I think that obviously I was sort of semi-serious.
Also make Arteta even pricklier.
Yeah, and Newcastle have got Arsenal's number at St James's Park, and they really upset Arteta. There's a definite burgeoning rivalry between those two teams. Yeah, it's good stuff because one's outwardly violent and the other team try and play a bit of football. But it is a bit of a free hit for Arsenal. They've got 10 days off after this. They're going to head to Dubai for a bit of warm weather training. It's but let's see how many players are left after Joe Linton, who will hopefully be fit for this fixture. He's been spotted in a knee brace. I don't think it's a knee brace though. I think he might be soaking it in vinegar like a conker.
Or did he get clamped? Was he stood in the carpet?
Yeah,
car park?
Well, just to drop it on about 5 Arsenal players.
Right in the back of the thigh. Oh, you bastard.
Oh dear. Well, Eddie Howe said of the 2-0 lead they have, he said, whether a 2-0 lead is the most dangerous in football is probably a conversation for another time. You could go into depth on that. No, you couldn't, Eddie. You'd rather be 2-0 up. Let's be quite clear
100%.
about that. You've done a very good job in this tie so far, and they are in pole position to reach the final. It is a case that don't do anything stupid and hope that Arsenal don't have one of the best performances that they'll have had under Arteta.
Can I offer a potential alternative viewpoint as to why it's not quite a free hit for Arteta and for Arsenal? And that is, people are talking about the fact that they've been much improved, that Arsenal have been a different club, and the first time they've been probably a serious operation again since Wenger's gone. Arteta's done an amazing job doing that. But it started to be talked about that he's not actually won that much.
Well, we talked about this in the mailbag.
Exactly.
It was Jim, Andy and I.
It was, but when the point comes... I wasn't as well. It was when... It's the point when you think about when you can start to ask questions about the trophy delivery in return. Yeah. And, for them to be 2-0 down from this first leg, that's a disastrous game for them, that first leg. It's absolutely disastrous.
It was.
And they're going to have to play a very strong team, and they're going to have to go for it. They're going to have to try and get something because, if they come away from this season, given how Man City have capitulated, given that they were the direct rivals to Man City for the last 2 seasons, Man City have capitulated, and it looks like they're still not going to win the Premier League, you start to look elsewhere. And you start to look at a game where you lose 2-0 to Newcastle in a silly way, really, and not win the League Cup even. What does that leave you?
Well, they're out the FA Cup.
Exactly.
Beaten by Manchester United.
Exactly.
And would you trust them to go and do the job in the Champions League? I mean, to be honest with you, and that might be a touch unfair, to say at this early stage, they're on for a Champions League victory, you just can't legislate for that, and it's obviously far tougher. The thing is, you're right, that first leg was a disaster. If they were only 1 goal down, or even if it was all square, the importance on this would be massive. So you're right. I think they do have to go for it. Arteta said they're going to go full gas.
I do take Pete's point that it was a while ago when they lost the first leg, and they may mentally be like, it's a free hit because we've fucked up. Yeah. And do you know what I mean? Our backs are against the wall. We've got nothing to lose because ultimately Newcastle have got 1 foot in the final already. I get that
and they can work as hard as they need to because they've got that recovery time afterwards.
I totally understand that point.
Puffing on that shisha.
I just think it's got a wider context.
What do you think, Peter? Are you worried about your beautiful boys?
To be honest, they really do get under Arsenal's skin sometimes, and if they are at their shittiest, I think they'll go through.
I hope they are.
And I think even for I'm doing the reacts with Andy later on. I cannot wait for this match.
Yeah, but you're right though to say that if they are out there, and this is the ideal game to frustrate Arsenal because Arsenal are chasing the game and they want to get on with it. They don't want to,
referees are against them.
All that conspiracy stuff, but the thing is, time wasting, all that kind of stuff. It will infuriate them, and so yes, indeed, this all bodes very well for Newcastle.
Yeah. But you say that they want to get on with it and stuff. Arsenal are more than capable, and I've seen it with my own eyes in the flesh on more than one occasion recently. Arsenal slowing the game down when it suits them.
Of course,
they slow it down over and over again when it suits them.
Indeed, but this is different though.
Yeah, look, I mean, I remember towards the end of the season before last, Arsenal won at Newcastle quite handily. But that's the only time I can remember that they've done it.
It was a for a 5-1. It wasn't a massively convincing. It would not be the word I would use, but it was. There were patches where you were like Luke said, they slowed it down way too much, and they were too playing within themselves. And when they finally got into gear, they were incredible. But they did spend a lot of time sort of trying to figure things out.
Indeed. Well, Arsenal do have 10 days off after this game, as Pete mentioned earlier, because they're out of the FA Cup. Interestingly, Arsenal lost only once in the league after they visited Dubai last season. And in that time that they had in Dubai last season, they ate at Salt Bay's restaurant.
So maybe that's a thing. Yeah.
I find it absolutely baffling.
Why not more people don't go to his restaurant?
Exactly.
It's cheap. It's cheerful.
It's cheap.
Move on, Marcus. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Everyone in that restaurant has their feet firmly on the ground.
Yeah. I don't understand what the appeal of it is. The worst, I mean...
Putting a bit of gold on a bit of meat.
At the very best, if I wanted to be as kind as I could, it's flipping wank, isn't it?
Yeah. Remember him on the pitch after the World Cup final?
Honestly,
people should have lost their jobs over that.
They should have done, because I could get on my high horse about that. I won't, because nobody wants to hear that. But yeah, a genuine disgrace.
It was.
Absolute disgrace.
Yeah, people shouldn't be going there.
Yeah.
Listen.
I know.
I know how hard it is to run a small business. I get that people are struggling. The economy's tough. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world. But this is probably one of the few, if not the only area, one of the few areas, if not the only area, where I could say, I genuinely hope that man goes out of business.
I just think we should start... They're not Patreoners anymore. They're Gold Edition members.
Yeah. I would feel sorry for the staff who are probably under an awful lot of stress. I would hope they would find new jobs quickly and efficiently and do well. I wish nothing but the best for all the presumably put upon employees of Salt Bay's many restaurants.
You'd like Salt Bay to become a YouTuber so we could see more of his content, is what
I'd like him to go out of business. I'd like him to be quite simply destitute. I would.
Okay, all right.
Well, the only difference between me and everyone else is you're not honest enough to say it.
I don't want the man to suffer.
Get him in Guantanamo.
Why do I want
that, aren't they?
suffer for crying out loud?
But think of the suffering he's put you through. I don't want him to physically suffer.
Okay, fine.
I want him to have a taste of humility.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
somebody put some salt in his mouth.
There you go.
Yeah, okay.
I want a big old slug to come along.
No, but that wouldn't work because Salt Bay would instantly kill him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Good point, actually.
Yeah, that is a good point. Slugs, stay away from him. Although, oddly, I'd imagine there's a lot of slugs who stick around
I'd like him to be beset by sugar so he can quite simply no longer season effectively.
He's just Bay. Just want him to become Bay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Right, sorry for all that bollocks. Coming up after this, a player has been sent off for pissing. Gentlemen, on Thursday at 8 p.m, Liverpool host Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs did some business on deadline day, signing Matthias Tell on loan from Bayern Munich. Spurs have the option to buy Tell for £50 million in the summer.
Yeah, this is an interesting move, this.
Let's hope he snogs somebody famous so we have a kiss and tell story.
Oh, wow. Don't turn your nose up at that.
They can't kiss and tells anymore?
I don't know, do they?
Well, they will do.
Marcus is bringing it back.
Yeah.
You know Marcus, he's retro. It's his thing.
Very retro.
It's his thing.
Ever so retro. Peter, you love a bit of that as well, you and your wicked whispers. You'll be the man to break the news.
Yeah. I mean,
Give him a smooch.
It does seem very clear that he really didn't want to go to Spurs. And in that kind of teenage way, he's like, fine, I'll go.
Harry's saying I have to go.
Maybe he'll have his own reality show,
right?
Where they'll follow him around wherever he goes.
There we are.
Television.
There you go.
Yeah. He didn't want to. So the important thing to clarify on that is that it's not necessarily been confirmed that he didn't want to go to Spurs. It's been confirmed that he didn't want to leave Bayern Munich at that point.
Right.
And then what happened was he rejected the move. He said he wanted to stay and fight for his place at Bayern. He'd fallen out of favour at Bayern and began not playing as much. And then Spurs put the full-on charm offensive. Levy and Johan Lange, I think it's the technical director or whatever his job title is, went over there to convince him. Postecoglou gave him a call, which is apparently a bit of a trademark of Postecoglou. He's kind of very good at selling a vision.
Right.
Talked about how important he'd be, and then Tell agreed to the move on loan. As you said, they got the option to buy him. It'd be interesting to see whether he has been convinced to go because he can just play football, or whether he's suddenly fallen in love with Spurs and how much they want him, whatever. The latter seems fanciful to me, given the problems Spurs have got. But what it does mean for a player of his age and of his undoubted talent, he's a very exciting player. Spurs fans are going to love to watch him, is that provided he doesn't instantly break down with a hamstring injury, again possible.
Well, that's what I mean.
Very possible.
Yeah, he's going to play a lot of football, and he's going to play a lot of football in the Premier League. So it could be one of those things where, even if it gets to a situation where he just comes in and helps Spurs out for the second half of the season, but he plays a lot and he does well, that's good for Spurs, that's good for him, and that's good for Bayern Munich. Yeah. If he stays, it's great news for Spurs. The circumstances are interesting, but a lot of that I think can just be around the very human element of being a football player, which is you've got 24 hours to decide something that's massively going to affect your life.
So
it could just be all to do with that.
And Ange following up going, do you like your ACL, mate? Yeah. I'm going to fucking run it in the ground.
He doesn't do ACLs. He just does hamstrings and thighs.
Well,
he might move on to ACLs. Yeah. Dragusin got an ACL.
Yeah, Dragusin got an ACL.
Yeah. I mean, tell though, I don't know how many minutes he's played in the Champions League, if it would be enough to qualify for a medal should Bayern win it. But he could win the Champions League and the Europa League in the same season.
I like that a lot.
It's a very interesting prospect.
Yeah.
Because narrative like that kind of does power football these days. Yes. So I'm into it.
He also could win the Bundesliga and just that league this season as well.
And end up playing the Championship. No, he's played 91 minutes in the Champions League this season, so I don't know how many minutes you need. But what I think is far more indicative of the Spurs' energy, the Spurs' moves, is the absolute textbook token offer for Mark Gay at the end of the window.
Do you know what, though? I think Palace, though, but the problem was it was at the end of the bleeding window.
Yeah, purposely by Spurs.
No, but they buggered that up because
he phoned Crystal Palace driving around the M25 with the top down in the car, so he couldn't hear him.
Yeah.
Okay, 7 minutes. Sorry, can't get you.
The implication is that Daniel Levy's very much done this on purpose.
Yeah, sure.
To say to the Spurs fans, we tried to get him.
Yeah, but that's a serious amount of money. That I think the reason why they didn't get him was Palace said, well, we don't have time to get a replacement. So they know that Gay is for sale. So, but let me just say one more time. I get what you're saying. It wouldn't have been funny if Palace went, all right then.
That's going to backfire. Yeah. But I guess from Levy's point of view, he's like, well, okay, fine. Because they've got money. Yeah. They spend money all the time. But
I think Gay would have been a good signing. It makes sense.
It does make sense. Yeah. But again, they're not going to get him because Palace are never going to say yes. Because they're at the time specifically designed for it not to happen.
Yeah. It's just, what's the point? Poor old Uncle Mark.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, Mark probably just entirely unaware the whole thing was happening. Yeah, all right, fine. Yeah.
Anyway, Spurs, of course, are 1-0 up from the first leg.
Speaking of things that may turn around in the semi-final of the League Cup.
Well, it would be... Look, I'm going to put it right out there. I think, we've enjoyed watching Liverpool under Slot, of course. It would be an incredible achievement, of course, unprecedented in this country, if they were to win a quadruple. And so if they did do that, it would be quite the thing to see. Yeah. However, I think poor old Spurs fans, you talked about the Newcastle fans, understandably so. For their sake, you think, it would be great for them to get to the final. It would be amazing if Spurs could do this. Yeah. It really would. And Ange as well, with the chat of, I always win a trophy in my second season. If he could deliver a trophy this season, in among all the bollocks that's been going on, it would be stunningly good. But anyway.
What have they got to do, though, to do that? It's a very big ask.
They've got to do a lot, haven't they?
The problem with Spurs is even, they go away to Brentford and win, that's a really good win for them, given Brentford's home record, and it's kind of come from nowhere, really. Yeah. So, give them the credit for that. That's potentially a platform for them to move on and get some good results. But they've got to do something that they're not that good at, which is stop teams scoring, and Liverpool are fucking good. Like, that's the problem. And sometimes I think, all that bollocks about is 2-0 a dangerous lead or whatever. I don't subscribe to any of that stuff, but what I do think is absolutely the case is that this is a tough psychological ask for Spurs, because it's almost like, what do? You go away to Anfield, they're brilliant, they're the best team in the country, possibly in Europe. You've got a 1-0 lead.
How do you approach it?
Yeah, but I suppose maybe it works in your favour when Ange Postecoglou is your manager, because the answer is we'll approach it the same way I approach every single game we play.
They exactly
have to the same way.
They have to take,
and we'll lose fucking 5-1.
Yeah, the thing is, he doesn't have the option to rotate, does he?
No.
So we know how they're going to approach it, and it'll be interesting how Liverpool approach it.
He hasn't got the option to rotate because he's got a collection of players' hamstrings around his neck like a necklace.
Indeed, Liverpool look like they'll be without Trent Alexander-Arnold, although they do have cover. It's fair to say in that position.
I think Conor Bradley's a really good player.
He's class, yeah. So it'd be interesting to see how Slot attacks this one, because the Champions League's not that far off from coming back, but he knows. They are playing for all 4 trophies. And they are the favourites for this competition, despite being 1-0 down. Yeah. Can they beat Spurs by 2 goals or more? Of course they can. And he knows that. So if they could capture this trophy, then they think, right, this gives us a hell of a platform. However, he's got to think about, it's all very well, winning every week in the Premier League. Obviously, that's great. But, he doesn't want to get players injured. He doesn't want players to be fatigued. So that, I think, is crucial how they approach it. But mind you, whoever he brings in, they know their jobs. They know what to do.
What's interesting about Spurs is they are capable on their day of pulling out really big results. Like they beat Man City 4-0 away. They beat Aston Villa 4-1 at home. They smashed West Ham. West Ham weren't great at the time, but they did it. They are capable. They beat Man City in the League Cup, knock them out. No one fancied them to do that.
Yeah,
so they are capable of that.
But those three teams you mentioned, we know their form. In particular, West Ham has not been great this season, despite Man City's still up there in fourth, and obviously.
All right, they beat Southampton 5-0 away.
Now you're talking.
Not everyone does that.
Now you are talking.
Most of them do it 9-0.
Newcastle couldn't do it. So yes, we're intrigued by that one, but that is of course on Thursday, tomorrow evening. Gentlemen, I want to finish with this. Thank you to everybody on X who sent us Palmerstown FC's post from the weekend. They play in the 7th tier of Irish football, and tweeted this: 0 minutes in, Jack Young receives a red card for pissing on the side of the pitch.
Not piss. What is the level? Because I'm always peeing on the side of the pitch, not on this side of the pitch, but against the, the bushes next to my 11-a-side match. What is the level that you've got to stop pissing at the side of the pitches?
I think in the 7th tier of Irish football, you've still got a few tiers to go.
By the way,
you'll be fine.
0 minutes.
It's poor, isn't it?
Go back into the dressing room. What's going on?
If it was a massive torrent, you'd be like, right, there's something wrong with him.
Yeah.
But if it's just a little tinkle.
But what's the minutage between him leaving the dressing room to about to start the game? Yeah. Presuming it's a semi-serious level, so the warm-up's done, they've gone back in the dressing room, they've got the team talk, they've come out. You're talking a few minutes max.
Yeah.
You obviously knew you needed a piss.
Yeah.
It's your own fault, really. But a little epilogue to this story, Marcus. As part of the red card, he will receive a €50 fine.
That's right.
Now, Palmerstown themselves have appealed to their fans to raise some money to pay for that fine for what they call Match the Fine for Jack's Crime GoFundMe. And at time of recording, from 10 donations, they've raised €100. So they've made a profit on that.
They have made a profit on that.
He should take a piss inside the pitch every week.
Yeah.
They make a €50 profit.
Bank it.
There was 2 anonymous donators who gave €25 each.
That's Jack. Wow. That's Jack, isn't it? And Jack's dad. I'll pay the fine, but I'll just pay it through this to make me look better.
He's paid less as well, so he got a discount, if anything. I quite like their badge. It's basically the Swansea badge with Palmerstown FC, and then a
three-leaf clover at the top.
A clover on the top, yes.
The justification for raising money to pay this fine is help pay this fine as a sign of justice for players that, quote, need to go.
Yeah, I think it's poor. I think if it's not on the pitch, then come on, sort yourself out.
Jens Lehmann did it. He didn't get sent off, though, did he?
No, he didn't. But the referee perhaps didn't see him. I suppose. Yeah, I mean, I think the referees are proper Jobsworth there, because if the players left the pitch without being asked, it's that level of football. Come on. And then is it a yellow card for leaving the pitch and then a yellow card for the piss?
It's a straight red, apparently.
Wow.
The only thing you can suggest is that it's a straight red. He's literally standing there with the old chap out in his hand.
Yeah, waving it around.
Taking a slash in front of everyone.
At least a semi.
Yeah, maybe a semi on.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree it's piss poor.